Are we starting?
Yeah, that's people joining now.
Should we give a couple of minutes or should we start?
I think a minute or two would be good.
Yeah. So give me a signal, clear.
Francis?
Looks like that's the that's about everyone joined now, Sarat.
Yeah, everyone here. There are 50 people in the participants. Bella is here. Hi, Bella. Bella, you are on mute, Bella. Can you just unmute yourself?
Yeah, I can't join in totally, but I want to participate as much as I can. I'm totally absorbed in this family event. I'm sorry, but I'm still curious. So I think I'll go off video and just be listening. Hmm?
Lovely to see you, Bella. Lovely to see you.
Yeah. Lovely to see you. It's over. Bye-bye.
I should start, Sarah.
Yeah, we'll start. Yeah. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, everyone. Friends, brothers and sisters from all over the world are here, and I'm extremely honored to be moderating this session, which is a really a critical topic for us today. The topic, that session is called Glimpses of Life in the Care Economy, and seeing the present and the future society and economy from the lens of care. Way back in 17th century, a French philosopher called René Descartes, he used an expression called cogito ergo sum, which in English means I think, therefore I am. He was one who laid the foundation for the Enlightenment thought. He was an Enlightenment philosopher. And his point was that thought as opposed to faith, or reason as opposed to faith, was important. And then later, the 20th century philosopher called Thomas Kuhn, in his book, The Structure of Scientific Revolutions, said that this brought about, this cogito ergo sum was a paradigm shift from one kind of thinking to another kind of thinking. So that is how the science flourished. And today, in the 21st century, we are facing and we are living a different kind of, we are in a different moment. And that moment is we are staring into human extinction, a potential human extinction. Now, we have to now change that expression, and we should probably say, bring about a new paradigm shift and call it, I care, therefore I am. I don't know, Guy should tell us the Latin version of that, but unless we do that, I think we are heading to extinction. We have seen the brightest spots of science and technology, but we are also seeing the worst forms of capitalist society today. Now, in all this, what is the role of basic income? Basic income in the new care economy should be the central pillar of that new economy and new society. Basic income alone doesn't bring about a care economy and care society, but it's the central pillar. There are several other blocks that are needed to build this society. And those blocks we are going to see in this session. We have extremely distinguished and accomplished individuals presenting their point of view, who are pioneers in their own respective fields and who are doing something very visionary, very futuristic. And that is the glimpse that we would like to see today, and a glimpse of that world. Now, just one more point before I pass it on to the first speaker. When we think of care economy, our knee-jerk reaction usually is to see how uncaring this world is today, how uncaring this economy is, how uncaring this society is. Now, critique is important because it makes us understand the current better. But if we just spend all our time in critique, we don't build anything new. So that's why we thought we do have critique in this panel, but we also have predominantly new paradigms, new ways of looking at it, several say, I think I don't want to go into all that, but I think that is what is going to give us hope. That when you start seeing the bits and pieces of that new world. Ladies and gentlemen, now let me invite Emmy Van Cleef, who is the Managing Director of Mustard Seed Trust, and also essentially the vision of Mustard Seed, essentially developed by Bela and his team. She is in a position to actually give flesh and bone to it. I think that's a very, very challenging task. And I request Emmy to speak. Emmy is here, but I think we are going to play her video. Can you play the video, please? Thank you.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. And thank you so much for attending the BN Conference 2021. My name is Emmy van Cleef and I am the Managing Director of Mustard Seed Trust. And I am so fortunate to inaugurate the Age of Care today with you. Mankind is only concerned with serving our self-interest. We have developed so far because of the survival of the fittest. Such discourse is what we often hear. Nevertheless, we have been able to build upon each other's shoulders for centuries after centuries, creating the most developed, healthy, and peaceful society we've seen in our history, even taking into consideration our current pandemic. This is because of another discourse, the discourse of partnerships, great structures of governance, education, family systems we have built together, of compassion we have for each other. This is because of the trusts we put into each other, the intrinsic values that we have and hold as human beings in taking care of ourselves, care of each other, and the planet at large. Mustard Seed Trust is a charity that supports organizations world over in being exemplary for a world where we truly care about ourselves, the community, and the earth. We aim to bring the care economy into being. This is not something new. It has always been there, every day and everywhere. People attribute to the care economy. We just need to align our systems and values towards acknowledging and enabling the care economy. Many forces and systems challenge our ability to care for each other. Take the global pandemic, for example. Dominative patterns lead to suspicion from the people who are dominated. It is a challenge of our time to restore the trust in each other and to build upon systems and technologies that leverage this trust and leverage on our trustworthiness. It is also the challenge of our time to break dominating patterns in order to collectively tend to the earth. The planet needs our attention, and it needs it now. If we do not give attention to the earth and the soil, we will fail as mankind. In order to give the earth the attention it deserves, we need time. And time is money in this system. Therefore, we need the ability to take care of these important issues without the struggle to earn money. A universal and unconditional basic income will allow mankind to live in dignity and to take care of the earth and all beings on it. Caring is therefore a key word in this new paradigm we create. We want to bring the UBI into reality, and we will inaugurate the Age of Care. Bela Hatvani is co-founder of Mustard Seed Trust. I would like to share his words with you as well. It has now become necessary that humankind recognizes that its purpose is to care for the earth and all beings on it. All the nations of the earth need to work together to make this happen. Each of us need to demand that those that govern our institutions ensure that all countries collaborate to perform this task. We already recognize that every human has a right to live. It is also evident that a person can only live as a contributing member of society if they have sufficient money. This money must be given by each community to enable each individual to be educated as a contributing member of our society, to be healthy, to have a choice, food and shelter. In exchange, our societies can expect that each individual will support human community in its task of looking after the planet and all beings on it. Our value will be our trustworthiness, our creditworthiness, and our credibility. Trustworthiness is that we can be trusted to be a contributing member of the community. Our community's value in the region will be based on its trustworthiness, and our region's value in the world will be based on its credibility. Creditworthiness will be the foundation of these new currency systems. Thank you so much. And I'm really looking forward to this session. I'm so glad I'm part of these amazing partners who will be presenting next. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Amy. That was really, really inspiring. I think at the foundation of this new society is trust. I think it's the trustworthiness is what will create partnerships as opposed to today's domination paradigm, and also the kind of atomized existences that we have. Let's move to the first part of the session, which is transitioning from now to the care society. Now, when we talk about care society, it doesn't mean it is some kind of a utopia that we are designing sitting in our bubbles. It is not so. I think we do have already the capacities and the elements of that care society right now in our society. I think we just have to accelerate them and give more prominence to them. Now, we have the first speaker on this topic is Rainer Eisler. Rainer Eisler is a very well-known social scientist in the United States, and her central contribution has been on the whole question of the domination paradigm to the shift from domination paradigm to the partnership paradigm. So that's a whole complete new grammar, completely new language that we need to, when we start looking at the world from the point of view of partnership that is based on trust. So because that now I think where she lives, it is 4 a.m. So Raina has sent us her video. We're going to watch her video. Can we have the video, please? Thank you.
I'm Rihanna Eisler, and it's a pleasure to be with you, albeit on the internet. And I have been asked to very briefly address two questions that are directly related to the work that I have been passionately engaged in for decades, creating a new caring economics of partnerism. The first question is, what's wrong with our present economy? And of course, let me count the ways, but I will focus on one thing, which is that I think that it has been driven by the wrong goals. To define economic success in terms of goods and services sold and that pass hands as GDP does is lunatic. The goal of an economy has to be the well-being of people starting at birth and of our natural life support systems. In other words, caring for people starting at birth and caring, excuse me, for our natural life support systems. Now, for that to be part of the equation, which obviously it has not been, certainly a basic income is part of this, so that really people can not only survive, but thrive. But we also desperately need new metrics, new ways of measuring what is or is not economic success. And we at the Center for Partnership Systems have introduced measures that actually measure the economic value of, as I said, caring for people starting at birth and caring for our natural life support systems. And these are immense. What we've developed is, first of all, in 2014, we launched our social wealth economic indicators with a grant from the Kellogg Foundation. And now we're condensing and updating them into an index, because 24 indicators are too much. And this index will be a tool, not only for social activists, but for policymakers, for impact investors, to actually put our resources where they need to be. And I should add that I not only coined in my books, The Real Wealth of Nations, the term caring economics, but also human infrastructure. Human infrastructure, which has been totally neglected as if it didn't exist, even though we're told by economists that in this post-industrial information knowledge age, our most important asset, and therefore the best investment a nation can make is, and this starts early, and my latest book, Nurturing Our Humanity, draws from neuroscience. I came out with Oxford University Press about 18 months ago, showing that if we are to have this high quality human resource, human infrastructure, I don't like the word capital, we must invest in caring for people in this so-called women's work. That's right, of caring for people starting at birth and keeping a clean and healthy environment, starting in our homes and then going into our larger home, our planet. Whether or not we get this social wealth index out, it really depends on what you and I do. So it's up to us. And I think a first step that I invite all of you to take is go to our website, to centerforpartnership.org. Look for new indicators, scroll through the whole website, because what this is about is changing thinking. That's what the Mustard Seed Trust is really funding, and why they are helping us develop our social wealth index. But as I said, we have to get it out. You know, if we don't think differently, if we don't change our consciousness and the consciousness of others, we'll just do add-ons, and add-ons can be taken off, as we saw in the last few years, with the stroke of a pen. Einstein said it all. He said, we cannot solve problems with the same thinking that created them. So I have great faith in our creativity, and I thank you.
Sarat, unmute, please.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Raina. I think that we're talking about a new grammar. And I think throughout this session, we are going to talk about what is that new grammar, what is that new thinking. Now, I invite Guy, Professor Guy Standing, to speak on how basic income will promote a caring society. Guy. Guy, you're on mute. Guy, you have to unmute yourself. Guy, you are on mute.
I thought that the video was going to be shown. That's why I was muted. Do you want to show the video or you want me to speak?
Yeah.
What?
But we can have the video. Cleo, can you have the video?
I don't mind.
Yeah.
I would like to focus on how basic income relates to care. Care and caring is part of the human condition. We all need care, and most of us want to provide care. But care has been marginalized by social democracy's focus on labor and by the neoliberal economics, which focuses solely on productivity and production. And the reasons for neglect includes the fact that care is vague, care is universal, care is a matter of reciprocity, and many people think it's a matter of the gift relationship. And that the idea of commodifying care has a sort of undignified aspect. Be that as it may, we have a crisis of a care deficit, partly due to aging, partly due to the breakdown of the life cycle reciprocity within families, partly due to the realization that the monetary value, the imputed value of care is much greater than the value of manufacturing and non-financial services in most economies has been calculated. And it's also due to the fact that within the current system, there's been an enormous pandemic of stress, even before COVID, added to the need for care. Now, in that context, how would basic income influence the amount of care provided in society and the valuation in human terms of care? Well, first of all, you must realize that one of the most fundamental findings of all pilots and experiments with basic income is that it reduces stress, it reduces mental crises, and it improves physical and mental health, and therefore has a desirable effect in reducing the need for care for many people. And stress has been a major cause, the major cause of absenteeism from jobs and from various sicknesses related to illness. But also basic income would give people a greater choice in how they allocate their time. They can spend more time on unpaid activities because they don't need money income so much. The evidence shows that basic income actually doesn't reduce work, it actually increases total work, but that's another issue. But basic income also allows an escape from a feeling that everything depends on being in a job. Now, the irony is, of course, that some people believe in commodifying care. Wages for housework was one such option. The trouble is that if that might increase the artificial division of labor, where women are relegated even more so to doing the care work, but actually be kept out of other activities. And of course, it has all sorts of problems. How do you measure care time? How do you think of how a wage would be calculated? So I don't think that is a particularly beneficial way of going forward. A basic income would allow us to have more freedom, more security, and would be a matter of justice. And most importantly, for the care recipient, in most cases, for the surrogate, for looking after that person, or the person himself or herself, they can make choices more easily between type of care that they would like to have. For the care provider, it would enable them to have at least some income security and therefore be able to avoid, to a certain extent, the self-exploitation which is so associated with care. And I think that one should also recognize that care has a greater function in society. It's part of our human condition. It's part of the idea of civic friendship that Aristotle emphasized. And if you commodify care, you diminish the sense of gift, the sense of being part of life, and you reduce the sense of empathy and compassion in care. So ultimately, basic income is a matter of common justice. It allows people to have a greater sense of freedom of what sort of activity to pursue, and it would give a sense of involvement as care through caring not just for ourselves and our family, but for community and for nature. It would induce us to spend more time looking after the environment, feeling close to nature rather than emphasizing the need for more and more jobs all the time. And ultimately, we must realize that basic income is not a panacea. We know that. You also need to have representation security for care providers, care recipients, and all the interests involved in the care process. The basic income is an essential element to give dignity and respect for care. And that is why it's so important to link the two. Thank you very much.
Guy, thank you so much for really giving that flesh and bone to that idea of caring for oneself, for the others, and for the planet, which even Bela was referring to. Now, let me now invite Inno Schmidt. Inno is a very, very well-known figure. He was the man who was behind the Swiss referendum. He's an artist, filmmaker, and many several things, and now a key figure in Freiburg Institute of Basic Income Studies. And Inno Schmidt, please, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Sarah. So I can try to deliver a brief analysis of the fact and objectively right term of economy, that is care economy, and that the term work is care work in our days. So have a closer look to what work is different from income in our days. We are living globally in a division of work. No one is self-sufficient. No one provides for themselves. We are all provided by others. The definition of work in our days is work for other. So this is factual. This is not a nice idea. This is not dreaming. It is to have a closer look and analysis that work in our days is doing things for others for the benefit of other people. Over this, it is covered with money, the veil of money. That work, if you are talking about work, it's always in relation to money. If you are talking about care work, it is mostly in the understanding this is not so important. This is mostly unpaid work, mostly low paid work, mostly done by women. And because it doesn't make profit for the owners of facilities and institutions, it's not so interesting. That's the danger by care economy. If we use this term in the way that, okay, this is an increasing industry where you can gain huge profit again for the owners of institutions and service companies and so on, then you have nothing new by care economy. Then you have what Guy just said to commodify this work. So what is the character of care work? It is a relation to another person or another being. Can be an animal, can be plants, can be planet Earth, can be a visible or invisible being, can be an idea that is not thought yet. Care is a character and behavior of work in all works, also in production, also in services, others than specifically care work. So the character of work in our days, and check it with yourself, is doing things for others, looking for the need of others. At the end of the whole chains of work, there are human beings or other beings. It's always in relation to. And care work is just making it clear what the essence of work is. By that reason, not as an ideology, but as a truth, you can say work always is care work in our days. But it is put away from us. It is taken away from us by the wheel of money, that everything is under that wheel of it has to make money. So if we discover that and understand and look closer to what we are already doing in the economy, in what we are calling work, we see we are not far away. We are just in that behavior. Everybody is looking to a meaning and sense of his work. It is our work. We are doing that for others with the intentions of love, looking to the need of the others, empathy, and so on to others. So what I want to say is, this is not utopian. This is, in fact, in our times to deliver, to work out, and so on. But we can see that the principle of economy in our days is care economy. It has taken care of each other. So if you look to that, you see that there's a difference between income and work. Work is what I'm doing for others, the benefit of others, not the benefit of the owner of the company. That's not what I mean. The benefit of those who are the consumers, who are the recipients of the results of my work. Income is different. So work, in fact, is altruism globally. We are living in a total social world if we don't have this wheel of money. Income is for your consumption. Income is that you have the right to live, to take things that other people delivered to you and produced for you. So this has to be put apart. And then we see, finally, that your work cannot be paid at all, because this is buying people. You cannot sell your life, your lifetime, your work, your intention. This is unworthy. So then we come to the basic income to say, at least the basic income has to be unconditional at the first place, because look to the order. First, you need an income, then you can live, then you can work. That's the order. It's not that you get the payment because you did something. It's always factual, objective. You get an income to live, and then you do your work by your decision. So that's just factual, that's human condition. By that way, I want to state that first, the designation of economy is truly care economy in our days, but we have to discover it. The designation of work is care work. This is the moral impulse in the work we are doing. And that makes a feeling of sense. And finally, an unconditional basic income is just fitting to what work is, what we are doing, and what we need to enable work, and not to be imprisoned in paid jobs, which are more and more in our times meaningless, just to keep people busy, just to keep them quiet, just to control and steer them. So by that way, we are living in a society where economy is care economy, work is care work, and an unconditional basic income is necessary. And and that is not a dream, that is not the future. That is that we just have to realize what is already real as human beings. And I would like to end up with a quote from Bela Harwani, who said, we are human beings, right? We are not human functions.
That is fabulous. I think long ago I read a mystic said that we are like a mirror, and all that we have to do is to just wipe it clean. So what you're saying, the veil of money comes and invisibilizes. I think I have put it in the. It makes it invisible, in the sense that suppose you look at the barter system. In the barter system, you see people actually producing something and other people doing something, and then we exchange, and then we see that we're already doing that work, caring for other people in a society, what we call the reciprocal relations we have in a society. I think it's the money. I think we are coming into the next part where we are also interrogating the money. How can we think of a caring economy without interrogating the current way money is understood, the current way money is managed in a centralized way? Let's move to the, shall we have one round of questions and answers to the first part of the panel? Katrina, could you please help us with that?
Yeah, we have one question from Vibor, and he asks, apart from creating time and material well-being, can universality in UBI also collectivize the notion of care to and amongst all people? Does this enhance dignity in care? Is there anyone that wants to?
Question?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guy? Yeah, Guy.
This was the point I was trying to make towards the end of my talk, in the sense that if everybody is receiving a basic income, it induces a greater sense of reciprocity in a local community. We saw that in the Madhya Pradesh pilot scheme, for example. It induces people to show more compassion towards the other. And that, of course, strengthens social solidarity and gives a greater sense of dignity to the activities that everybody is contributing to that community. And I think it also links up to this famous thing about civic friendship, philia, as Aristotle called it, which you get from a solidaristic type of policy. Whereas means testing and even social insurance schemes actually divide people into privileged and less privileged, and people who are being judged and being unjudged. And that, of course, is divisive. So I agree with the question sentiments, and I think it's a very important part of care.
We have a few more questions come through.
Yeah.
The Maori have a term, manakitanga, that refers to taking care of people and the environment. What are panelists' thoughts about the importance of indigenous knowledge, firstly, and secondly, whether basic income can be regarded as a necessary component of a circular economy? That's a reference to the commons.
Yep.
Anybody can take the question, please. Eno, Hilda, Shaila, Geno.
Guy.
Yes, Guy.
I'm sorry to come in again. I will be quiet afterwards, but this, I love the question. I love the question because it relates very much to my book, Plunder of the Commons. And I think the commons is actually what the most important framework for basic income of all. We come from the commons, we need the commons. The commons provide us with our means of subsistence. It goes way back historically. And vernacular knowledge and vernacular communications and care systems, which have stood the test of time, are part of the social commons. And we need to revive that and respect that. And the Maori traditions and others, particularly in the First Nations in Canada, actually embody those values when care is an embedded part of an integrated set of activities. And that, I think, is so important to appreciate. Care should not be seen just through the prism of domestic housework. It must be seen as part of a general framing of the way we live. And that, I think, is very important. So I thank you for the question.
Or maybe we just take one more question, Katrina, and then move on.
Or one word in addition. So
Yeah.
in addition to that, what Guy answered, I would like to mention that it is important for me that not only people see, okay, there are in different cultures more appreciation, more value on care work and how they do it, because this leads to an understanding, okay, they're doing that, but we in the civilized world, no, it's different. We need profit for the owners. That's why I'm trying, in addition to that, it's important, but in addition to that, I would like to focus again to have a closer look and to check it with yourself to your own work for everybody in our societies. What makes sense in it? What is the mood in it? What is the moral issue of it? And then to see by yourself for everybody, first, that work is factual, doing good things for others, that it is your realization of your life and that cannot be bought, so that we come to a deeper understanding. And the challenge is for all the people, in particular in the so-called first world or developed world, the challenge is not just sitting there and thinking everything is fine, but coming to a deeper insight and understanding what the real life is. And the real life is not that what is always the propaganda of how you have to become rich and earn a lot of money, and that work is jobs and gainful employment is work and so on. We need a change by ourselves, each individual, in the understanding based on our own awareness of ourselves, a perception, a much more brave perception of where are we living.
Thank you, Eno, for that. Should we take one more question? I think we are running short of time, and let's move on to the next part. And then if we have time towards the end, we can always bring questions based on this. Is that okay? Let's move to part 2, which is the images of the care economy working. We have 3 speakers here. The first is Genau Joachim Müller from Austria. Genau is the founder of Zeitpolster. What Zeitpolster is, Genau himself will explain as part of his concept. And he's done pioneering work in building time currencies and time bank. Over to you, Genau. And the topic he's going to speak on is how do we motivate people to care? Genau.
Thanks a lot, Sarah. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me here today. It's an honor for me. So my name is Gernot Joachim Müller, and I'm the founder of Zeitpolster. We have heard some about care crisis, new currencies, new measurable models, a new grammar. Zeitpolster, in English, time cushion, is such a model that takes new approaches in this field. We are in the mindset of a real great change. If we do not change anything, many older people will not be cared for and supported when they need it because of demographic change. But we can change that. Doing nothing would mean leaving the generation that has given its strength and energy for our real good life alone with the worry about the care. We need a new solidarity, a new contract between generations. And it would mean that later no one would be there for us who are there today. This crisis cannot be solved with money alone. That is a great disappointment for many, many people and politicians. But on the way, what Zeitpolster is and how Zeitpolster works, I will show you a small video. So I hope you can hear this.
Yeah.
There's no sound. You might need
There's no
to
sound.
Yeah.
to
There's no
try.
sound.
Sorry.
There's a little, when you try and share it, there's a little box in the corner that says enable sound.
Sorry.
You have to enable sound, Gena.
Sorry.
So if you click the green share screen button,
Just a moment. Ton freigeben. Okay, so now I think this will work. Sorry, I have closed it. Just a little bit moment.
Technology.
Technology. You say it. You say it.
Take care.
Doesn't care for us. Can you not explain it? You're not.
It starts.
Okay.
Starting.
Yeah.
You don't see it.
You don't see it.
You don't
No.
see it? My
No.
dear.
Yeah.
Sorry. Did you not see?
No.
No, no, no.
No.
No? So okay.
You have not shared your screen.
Last.
Don't care enough.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh.
This is Mr. Huber. He is 70 years old and a retired industrial electrician. He lives in Old Village and often feels very lonely. Mr. Huber sometimes needs help with his household chores. He is also looking for social contact. This is Mrs. Wagner. She is 62 years old and lives in the neighboring town of Lifetime. She is an office clerk and is currently preparing for her retirement. Mrs. Wagner wants to stay active and to continue to help others. She places value on investing her time usefully. As is often the case, they don't know each other. Time Cushion connects people like Mr. Huber and Mrs. Wagner. Time Cushion helps to clarify what Mrs. Wagner offers and if it fits the needs of Mr. Huber. So both of them have an advantage. After they get to know each other, they decide independently and self-responsibly to which extent and at what time they exchange services. Simple support services such as helping with shopping, ironing or using computers are provided. Families are supported with childcare. For example, in the event of illness, if mom and dad have to leave, Mrs. Müller will take care of the kids. Mrs. Wagner does not get paid money for her services. Instead, she earns hours on her time account. These hours can be consumed later when she's in need of help. Mr. Huber pays for the services in euros. This money will be used partly for the costs of the organization, Time Cushion, and for the emergency account. The aging process took place and left marks in her life. She urgently needs support with her garden. Mr. Meyer, who likes spending time in the garden, gets to know about Mrs. Wagner's concern through the Time Cushion platform. With pleasure, he offers the suitable support. Mrs. Wagner is able to use her generated hours for the services of Mr. Meyer. He gets those hours transferred on his time account. If Mr. Meyer was not willing to help and no one else was available to provide the support needed by Mrs. Wagner, the emergency account could be made use of. The emergency account guarantees the helping people a partial payment of support services when nobody is offering help. The fact that money will be saved in case of an emergency empowers Mr. Meyer and many other members to be an active part of this network. There exist some local groups at Time Cushion. These are all those people who help others locally. Regional coordinators support them. All the pieces come together at the headquarters. A stable structure will be built with teamwork. The heart of the organization Time Cushion are of course the local groups. 5 persons are enough to build a Time Cushion group. They receive active support. If you can't find a Time Cushion organization in your country, contact us. Time Cushion connects people, ensures support services, and creates quality of life. You establish contacts, invest time usefully, and take care of your future. Time Cushion connects different generations in a new, innovative way. Together we create what was obvious in the past. Be part of Time Cushion.
So what we see in practice after 2.5 year work along this Corona crisis in Austria and in other states is 60% from all the people who work as helpers, as volunteer helpers in these systems, doesn't be volunteering before. So it's one point to say, to save 1 hour on a time account, help to find more people to do this work and help people say, oh, that's interesting. I don't like to work for money. I don't like to work only for volunteering. But if other people say, I will also help you, we have a new contract. And on this way, many people will be engaged in this field. So it's not the one big solution to solve the care crisis, but it's one solution to give a help in this field. And what we can look, most of the people are retired when work in the Time Cushion system. And what we see is 50% from all the people in Austria work as volunteers, but only 2% from this half of the population, only 2% work in the field of care other people. So it's not attractive, it's not the most nice field. It's quite hard. You are confronted with that, with illness, with dementia, and all these things. So it's not easy to do this, And this is the point. So many people say, I don't like to do this work, but it's attractive to say, if I earn an hour for all these people who work in this field, is it more attractive when to say, I earn money for this? And I think it's for the future, for a basic income, it's a very nice additional field to work in it.
Super, fantastic. Thank you so much, Geno. I think that's a glimpse. I think we come back to that point that Inno was making. When you remove the veil of money, you start seeing things very differently. And the people who are volunteering and who are doing this work, they are earning something for the future in terms of time. But I think you see the relationship changes automatically. Let's move on. Thank you so much, Geno. Let's move on to Shaila Aga. Shaila Aga is going to speak on community forms using community currency. This is absolutely important point in terms of interrogating the centralized monetary system. And I think Bela also often talks about this aspect, that how do we remove this veil, as Inna would put it? How do we decentralize the monetary systems, and we have to interrogate the monetary systems. Shaila is the director of grassroots economics, and the name is self-evident. And central contribution is community currencies and empowering communities. Let's have Shaila's video.
My name is Shaila Aga. I'm a director at Grassroots Economics. Today, I'm going to explain a sustainable food system that Grassroots Economics Foundation is piloting. Community farming using community currency, a Shambhaya Jami project generously funded by the Mustard Seed Trust. Shambhaya Jami translates to community farm. We work with several saving and loan groups nationwide. We're currently piloting 50 farms with a grant provided by Mustard Seed Trust and capacity building on syntropic agroforestry provided by our group. They're also introduced to community inclusion currencies, which they can then use to pay for farm inputs like seeds, manure, and water. They can also pay the laborers that work on the farm. These laborers can in turn come back and redeem their tokens. The Chama members all agree to accept these and to transact a part of their revenue in Sarafu, therefore saving the scarce Kenya shillings they have for things like education, healthcare, and emergencies. This is an example of a rural Chama working on a farm in the coast province of Kwale. We also have some urban centers, such as this, a school in Kawangware, getting involved in their own production of their food. The teachers and the students and the parents who work on this urban garden can substitute their school fees or meals with Sarafu, our community currency. Tucked away in another little corner in Nairobi's informal settlement called Mukuru, we have another one of our urban bags. Because the community currency is free to transact and free to use, it targets vulnerable groups who may not have anything except a mobile phone. The beneficiaries dial the code and receive 50 Sarafu on their phones, which they can supplement or in some cases use fully to buy their vegetables. These savings and loan group members freely accept the token, knowing that they can use it to pay for their workers and for their watering of the plants and for the inputs as well. Another one of our urban gardens in Kakuma, a refugee camp north of Kenya. We've trained them on syntropic systems as well. And the aim is just to ensure that everybody has something to eat, even in the hardest of times. So what sets our project apart from other farming projects? Well, Grassroots has dared to venture out into regions where traditional agriculture is minimal due to harsh conditions and lack of capacity. Most of our country's agriculture is rain-fed, which means that areas that have experienced advanced land degradation and deforestation, monoculturing, and overgrazing are affected the most. This is South Kwale, where we actually have 29 out of 50 of our farms. They haven't received rains since last July. The rivers run dry and the communities have to walk more than 20 kilometers sometimes to find water. When they do find the water, they bathe, wash clothes, wash their dishes, they cook with that water and drink from it. A lot of the water is also shared with the domestic animals and wild animals. It's unsafe for human consumption. Yet, even in these dire conditions, hope and invention still prevails. Here we have a little child with a bicycle he made to pull up 20 liters up the hill. So many of these savings groups don't know what to do when you've missed 1 to actually 4 rainy seasons. They're often left with no other choice but to engage in the deforestation that got them here in the first place. We added aloe vera to the harsher climates and they seem to be thriving. So we aim to now teach community members on how to value add the crop and maybe sell it in the community as well. So we aim to provide them with training in alternative income generating activities, access to market, and entrepreneurship training that can actually supplement their income so that they can have more time to focus on their families and on their farms. As you can imagine, there aren't many alternatives left for these women. So the cutting down of trees for charcoal at least guarantees them a small amount. And this is where our CICs come in. We've created a free cashless system, one that can give access to anyone and everyone to promote regenerative agroforestry. Farmers back their tokens with their future production, and a 2% tax is applied to all wallets to encourage the circulation in the economy and discourage hoarding. In our syntropic systems, the beds and pots are heavily mulched with twigs and branches, and this continuously improves the soil nutrition and conserves the little water that's available. The growing of the grasses and biomass on site helps to also collect the dew in the morning. So across the country in Siaya, this is a religious group called Legio Maria who grow food for vulnerable communities like orphans, people with disabilities, the widowed, and the elderly. And by using our system, they've improved their yields twofold and reduced their upfront costs. They don't use pesticides or fertilizers and have a continuous succession of bountiful, diverse harvests. They sell their extra vegetables in Kenya shillings, which they can then use to pay for things like school fees and healthcare visits. So how does this create a sustainable food system? Well, when you're purchasing your labor and inputs in CIC and have a continuous succession of healthy, diverse foods, then when shocks like the coronavirus happen, communities are still able to continue even when they have no Kenya shillings. This system of syntropic agroforestry is invaluable because it teaches low cost, low effort, and minimum resources needed. And this method is important because in these communities with such low amounts of rainfall and such low incomes, this is where it's needed the most. So with a huge collection of community farms all over the country, we realized that we've been sequestering a great amount of carbon in the soil. Before and after tests show a significant amount of organic material also added. So we believe we can aggregate this amount and actually later reward the farmers themselves for their regenerative practices using impact claims. This is our team, a diverse team of 11 staff members, all working in the community and trading in community currency. And next steps. So these are some of our partners, and we are attempting to create our own nodes, setting up community farms in the eastern arid regions of Kitui. We're also working with partners to pilot CIC in refugee camps in Cameroon and other exciting things like impact claims. So regeneration is possible, and with community currencies, it's even more achievable. Thank you.
Thank you, Shaila. That was really, really inspiring. We are running against time, and now let's turn to Hilda Latour, my comrade. Hilda Latour is Vice Chair of Basic Income Earth Network and a co-founder of UBI Blockchain Collective. And Hilda has been really, really doing very innovative work at the cutting edge of blockchain technology on the one hand, and trying to bring that monster closer to people and make it useful to them. Hilda, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Rats. I will share my screen. There we go. Agape, everyone. My name is Hilda Latour. I wear many hats, and today I ask myself, how will blockchain be an important ingredient of a care economy? For centuries, basic income has been dependent on political will. There was always an excuse not to implement it. Now look me in the eye and tell me that it is possible to inject individuals with whatever it is, but that it is not possible to get money into the hands. Last year, we have seen how efficient worldwide unconditional injections and deathly lockdowns can be organized, but unconditional cash is still a problem. I'm not buying it. A care economy can only be built by people who care with agape. Agape means unconditional love. Take these two extraordinary men, Billy and Sarath. They live far apart, but are heart brothers. A year ago, they decided to bring basic income to Kuwaiti A, Kenya. Kuwaiti A is a village in Kisumu County with mainly small farmers who live from hand to mouth. Very little or nothing at all is channeled to education, savings, or any form of development. The process was slow but thorough when we tried to find ways to get euros, Swedish crowns, and other currencies to the pockets of the people. Money is a key ingredient of basic income, and you must have noticed that something disruptive has happened in the realm of money. 2 months ago, Impact Market crossed our path, and today 235 adults, majority women, are now receiving 715 Kenyan shillings a week. And we expect to be able to reach all adults of the village very soon. Amazing, impressionante, bloody awesome, or in Kiswahili, ya kutisha. Impact Market is a blockchain-based poverty relief program, distributing silo dollars, so-called stable coins. These are cryptocurrencies with a guaranteed value of $1 US. You need an app for it, but you will not be surprised if I tell you that most of the villages have no smartphone in Kuwaiti A. Luckily, Impact Market already dealt with this problem before and introduced fintech partners to make sure the villages would receive a currency they could actually use for buying goods and services, Kenyan shillings. Kenya is relatively easy because of the widespread use of M-Pesa, a mobile payment system. After so-called USSD integration, someone with a SIM card can receive Kenyan shillings and withdraw cash at an M-Pesa shop in the village. One phone can have 2 SIM cards, so 2 people can receive per phone. Not entirely without intermediaries yet, but the results are impressive in my opinion. Less than 6% is lost from silo dollar to Kenyan shillings in cash. Blockchain technology is changing society rapidly. With tens of thousands of different cryptocurrencies, you cannot escape the question of the value of money. Sooner or later, you will have to ask yourself, how do I define value? Let's move to the next example, Proof of Humanity, a project developed by dedicated humans from all over the world in co-creation. When you are validated as a real human on the Proof of Humanity platform, you will automatically receive 1 UBI token per hour as an appreciation of your time on Earth. I like that approach, so I tried it. No ID documents needed, just an internet connection. But my face linked to my wallet address is on the internet now, as you can see. In 2 months, I received almost 1,500 UBI tokens worth almost $75 US. UBI token is not a stable coin, so the value in relation to the US dollar is volatile and decreased more than 90% in 6 months' time. Also, transaction fees are high and the fees to swap it with another token even higher. The project is in development, though, constantly. Problems will be solved. New features are proposed, voted upon, and built by the community itself. A very exciting project with a very dedicated core team. Next, Encointer. This project is still in the prototype phase. These developers take the protection of your identity very seriously and change the rules of the Monopoly game profoundly. They start from the perspective of value, a haircut and a papaya. A small farmer and a hairdresser have no money to buy each other's goods and services. All the money they earn is needed for and spent on basic needs. They live from hand to mouth, but they realize that they do have time, skills, or papaya left to sell. They form a group with other people and decide to create a local currency without the interference of banks, governments, or donors. They call it Ogu and set a monthly basic income of 1,000 Ogu per person. They decide what the price will be of their product, which is complementary to the income they earn in national currency. At the exact same time every month, all Encointer users have a physical meeting somewhere nearby to verify each other's wallets. Because you cannot be in different places at the same time, an Encointer user can only receive 1 basic income a month. A solid method to prove you are human, alive, and unique if you are able to reach a location in time. Once they have Ogu in their wallet, the participants can use it and start buying goods and services from each other. As a result of it, they will need less national currency for basic needs. Therefore, they will soon be able to spend some money on housing or import of goods, for example, where EUGU is not accepted. I showed you 3 blockchain basic income projects that are totally different, and there are many more. It's all still work in progress, but very soon, blockchain technology is going to be ready for full-on basic income schemes without the need of governments or banks. Are we there yet? No, but compared to 1 year ago, we are much closer. Agape.
That was fantastic, Hilda. Thank you so much. It's so inspiring. It gives so much of hope to all of us. I was looking at Guy, true political economist, how he would respond to this. But then I think we have just 4 or 5 minutes. I don't know, Cleo, do we have any cushion in the system?
Not really, I'm afraid. We could do 5 minutes.
So we have 5 minutes. So we can have questions and yeah.
We have three questions. I'll make them brief. Firstly, how does time cushion reconcile one person's value of time is different to another? And secondly,
Please
go on.
Tell me this question.
How do you reconcile that one person's value of time is different to another?
No, everybody has 24 hours per day. The time is not different. Yeah.
Everyone's perception of time. Yeah.
Okay.
Good answer.
Yeah.
Secondly, we should not commodify care work. And in a caring economy, we will need less money or money exchanges. Does UBI then mean less of a monetized society?
Guy, or you know?
So Guy, you come later. I think not necessarily. Not necessarily. So the bad thing by a monetized society is the power of money, and money is covering up everything. Money as a tool for exchange is not so bad, isn't it? It's very practical. So the bad thing is how far money is upsetting your life, occupying your understanding, your mood, everything. The good thing is money is a good tool to exchange values, and UBI is money too.
Yeah, Guy, would you like to? Yeah.
Yeah, I would go back to the very interesting presentations of Hilde and Gernot and Azka, because basically what is money is a secondary matter. The difference between that and using it as a unit of exchange and commodifying an activity. Commodifying it is turning it into something that is bought and sold, and that relates to power relations. And we must not forget that people providing care also need income security, and people relying on care need the income security in which to be able to acquire the care that they require. And commodifying it in some wage relation reduces the sense of empathy and mutual identity, and that is what we're against. Commodification is alienation. And that is what we don't want to see with care as a general societal process. And that's what makes this whole debate around care so exciting at this particular time.
Thank you, Guy. I think we are almost there. I've always wondered that when it is people who generate value, why do banks become so rich? Banks get richer and richer, and people become poorer and poorer and become debt-ridden. Anybody else can have the last word and then we can close. Maybe Shaila, you have not said anything, or Hilda. Hilda, you want to go first?
Maybe, I mean, there are 2 ways to get rid of money. One way is to take it away and make everyone poor, and the other one is to make everyone rich. so that you don't have to work for money because you don't need it anymore. And I think therefore basic income will be very high in the future because we have to get rid of money as an incentive to work.
Thank you. And Shaila, would you want to have some brief intervention?
Oh yeah. Community currencies in Kenya are basically free and open to anyone, and it's currently most active in coastal region, Nairobi, Mombasa, and Siaya. So users and businesses don't really need Kenya shillings, and they're encouraged to share the basic income of Sarafu with vulnerable households and to accept Sarafu for their goods and services. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Shaila. It has been a fabulous panel. I think really, we are going back home with so much of hope in our hearts. Thank you, each and everyone. Thank you, Katrina, for being the backbone of this session. Thank you so much. And we close here. It's exactly 18:15 in India. I hand it over to Katrina.
We've had 100 participants, so that's also fantastic. Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah. The last count I saw was 117 participants. Thank you so much, all of you. Bye-bye. Bye, Gino. Bye,
Bye. Have a good time.
Bye. Thank you.